Hello, I'm going to let everybody join in. I know there's quite a few people coming today, so I'm very happy to see you. And welcome. Happy Wednesday. I'm going to let you join in because I'm going to be sharing some slides too today. It's full of information. I hope you have your pencils ready because I've got a lot to share, fun stuff, I hope. So we're going to wait another few, 1 or 2 minutes, just because I see quite a few people joining, and I see familiar names. So I'm really nice to see you. Hello, hello. Great. So I'm going to be, as I said, sharing a little bit of information. And I'm going to then share some slides, but please know that at any moment you can ask questions in the chat room. And hi, yes, you can send questions in the chat room, and I will answer all the questions at the end. If there's anything that you need, feel free to do it in the Q&A. Sorry, in the Q&A. There's a Q&A link for you to ask questions. Okay, so with that being said, I would love to start. And again, thank you. The more you exchange and you give me feedback and information, the more I can refine this in this webinar. And before I dive in, I know some of you know me. Thanks for being here. And for those who kind of meet me for the first time, I am Agathe Lerolle. I've been an executive recruiter for the past 15 years, which was preceded by some banking, and I did a food startup. But I started in a recruiting boutique firm specialized in fashion and luxury. And that's where that niche, that sector in fashion and luxury that I've been focusing for the past 8 years, and I started my own practice. I've worked with many of the most beautiful and big brands in luxury brands over the past 15 years. Very grateful. And I think I've calculated that I've conducted over 5,000 interviews so far, if not more. And that is the part that you're listening to the webinar. This is what I think I'm good at least it's what I'm enjoying the most, because when I interview, I kind of go in a flow, and I'm enjoying meeting people, understanding, you know, what their career is about, but what their drive, and I enjoy really finding talent. So I think after 5,000 interviews, I know a thing or two of what makes a good candidate. And the challenge, I would say, for most candidates is to get from good to great, because a good interview really takes you to the next interview, basically. So like many companies and many individuals, Sur Mesure had to shift a bit this spring. Searches slowed down drastically, and candidates sent me resumes. So I decided to launch a weekly Zoom to focus on career strategy. That's a course I did last spring. And long story short, we had 24 participants, and we all graduated. I all graduated them about a month ago with clarity cards, elevator pitches, and visual templates. So that was amazing. And that's when basically the subject of diversification of network came into place, because I realized that a lot of the success of what the candidates were having, a lot of them got new jobs. We have 3 in retail, believe it or not. Touching wood for one who's going to an interview today. But what I realized is that it was also the power of the group and the power of the network. And that is bulk of the iceberg, not the tip that you see. What happened is that these 24 people networked with each other. They didn't know each other, and all of a sudden they became a group, and a really strong and trustful group. So the reason we're going to dive into networking is because that is where the power lies. We all know that doing new things, which we're asked to do every day these days, is challenging. There's always, you know, excuses, events, kids, this or that happening. I don't even have to blame my kids, because I'll blame it on Mercury retrograde, or I'm not quite ready, or whatever. So that's my way of delaying, you know, doing things. But when you are part of a group, you have accountability. So that's what we're gonna go. So before I start the slides, I want to say that all the information that you're going to see is my musings. This is what I'm passionate about. I can read, write. I've been looking on all these surveys. So it's exploring the subject and understanding how we can get to our fullest expression. So here it is. I'm going to start sharing screen. Share. There we go. There we go. So this is a proverb that maybe some of you know. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So I would love to dive into straight with the Framingham Heart Study. So it was a study that was done at Boston University, and that ran for 32 years. And the study began, I think it was 4 generations. So I'm going to go quickly on this one, but 4 generations. And basically all we know about diet, exercise, common medication for like aspirin came from this study that is still going on today. And the Framingham Heart Study basically concluded that you are your network. You are the average of the 5 people you most associate with. So if a friend becomes obese, you are 45% more chance of gaining weight over the next 2 to 4 years. If a friend of a friend gets obese, then it's down to 20%. But if a friend of a friend of a friend, it's 10%, but it's still there. And it happens the same for smoking. So if friends, you know, in teenagers, if friends are smoking and 4 of the friends are smoking, most likely the 5th one will be smoking. So you are the average of the 5 people you most admire. So the good news is that it also works in reverse. So it also works for the positive side. So if friends around you are getting new jobs, if friends around you are, I don't know, learning new skills, most likely you will also be gaining from that. And the chances are that you will be doing it too. And the second good news is that you can grow and expand your network, right? The 5 people that you hang out the most, which can be different for, you know, the family people than the friends, but you can have your career team. You can grow and expand that network. So then we're going to go into a conversation about strong ties versus weak ties. So strong ties are usually what we call friends, right? People you know well, you have their number, you interact with them on a regular basis, even if it's only on social media, right? It's a two-way conversation. And basically, they know the same information as you know, because you are in the same circle. Sorry. So they know the same information. That's the strong ties, right? And the weak ties are acquaintances. It's a more tenuous relationship. Maybe you have their business card. Maybe you contact them once a year with a holiday card that you send them, or a little note, because maybe they have different interests. And it's usually the type of people that you might contact for a favor, right? Something to ask, because they hang in different circles. So one of the articles I was reading about strong ties versus weak ties is this woman who was saying, you know, imagine that my strong tie is all the red wine lovers, which I like the example, and the weak ties are the coffee lovers, right? And she says, well, I know everything about red wines, etc. But let's say, for example, that there's like a new coffee machine type that uses red wine, I would not hear about it from my red wine lovers. It would come from that coffee circle. So this is how you have exchange of information, right? If you are in one specific circle, most likely it's reinforcing or it's shared information that you already know or have access to. So for example, also engineers tend to read the same newsletters, or, you know, finance people. So that's how you create clusters of people. So that's strong tie versus weak ties. So the good, interesting information is that actually the strength lies in your weak ties. Why? Because they bring new information and they give you fresh eyes on whatever you're doing. Second is they're a crucial bridge between two types of people. So the weak ties are the people who can allow you to go into a different network and tap into all the knowledge from that different network. So that's why it's so interesting. And not only because those weak ties are usually as I said, the bridge, but they will help you reinforce the bonds with the new circle. So in essence, individuals with few weak ties will be deprived of information or will be confined to provincial news and views of their close friends. So you have to bring fresh air into your network. And, you know, I don't want to sound gloomy, but that's the part, is if you only go with your strong ties, it will insulate you from new ideas, you know, new things happening. So you would be at a disadvantaged position. So that's very maybe intuitive for most of us, because we always think that, you know, the people we're closest to are the ones who are going to help us the most. But weak ties have actually an interest in helping you connect on to different circles. So these are two studies, but basically Harvard had created a little study for students making job transition. And then actually more than 80% of those who succeeded, it was with the help of weak social ties, right? So people that they didn't really know, but knew of them and wanted to facilitate the recommendation because, you know, there were students that they could help. And there was this other study at Duke University for startups, and said that, you know, startups often are agile and have to flip their business model. And they found out that most startups that can flip their business model easily and quickly is because of their weak ties, contact with their weak ties who gave them new ideas. So we're going to talk about homogeneity and diversity. And that I want to share an example, because I went to a conference of Professor Galloway. I don't know if any of you know, he's an NYU teacher, and he's very specific on economics and business. And it was this big amphitheater, the old times, and all people, a lot of tech people and economy people, right? And at some point, one woman comes to me and says, "Hi, I'd like to meet you." So that was, you know, like a networking at a business event. Well, believe it or not, she was also a recruiter, and she was also working in the fashion and luxury industry. So the odds of that happening, you know, among 1,000 people was really slim. So the old saying goes that birds of a feather flock together. So we tend to go with people that we think are similar to us because it feels easier to create connection, right? And it goes faster. And that's where it's actually the challenge. And that's why diversifying your network is very, very important. So usually social events are challenging, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, it doesn't matter. You tend to go with people that are going to look like you and feel reassuring. So that's the news. So there's other ways to network, and I'm going to share that. The idea with networking is really to know who are your contact. So when I say that one of the first thing to suggest is to organize your contact. There's several people that can be contacts that we don't necessarily think, but in terms of career, this is a list of people that you should have, earmarked. So first, mentors or mentees that you worked with So these are people that you can reconnect because you have already created a strong bond. You've worked together, you've had connections with each other, and that is very, very important because trust is already there. So you can find mentors if you're interested. You can also find mentees. I think today it's really important to do some transgenerational connections. So if you don't have a mentee, go find one, but reconnect with anybody that you have worked in the past and that has helped you. The other thing is references. So when we do a search, it's very important to do references. And I found that often candidates will call their references on the day of they need them without having updated them on their past experience. So this is very important if you know, you might need them, or just to say thank you for past references, but to call your references once or twice a year, tell them, this is my latest achievement, this is what I'm being up to, this is what I'm looking for. So have that conversation with them, just saying, you know, you've been instrumental in a previous search. We never know when would be the next one, but keep them updated of where you are. That's really, really important because you don't want an HR recruiter person calling and thinking that the reference is, you know, outdated, basically. So connect with them and update them. The third category is colleagues. I think today what is happening is that what I see in recruitment and what I see with jobs, I'll give you the numbers. Basically, in normal times, in previous times, recruiters would have between 5 and 10% of the searches. And so that is very, very few. 80% or 79%, 80% of the searches go through networking. So people referring colleagues, friends, you know, job posting that were out there. So the more important group to cherish are previous colleagues. They will hear of an opportunity that might not be interesting for them, but that could be interesting for you. Let's say they're moving to Florida and there's a position in Washington, and that's where you might be interested. So finding, connecting with people that have been working with you is very important. One of the ways you can connect with colleagues is to offer a recommendation on LinkedIn, right? Everybody loves a recommendation. To receive a recommendation is very interesting, saying, hey, we've worked together in the past. I'd be happy to share with you a recommendation. Maybe you can do the same if they haven't. So that's a great way to offer, you know, something while reconnecting with someone. The last one I want to put is webinar and online conferences. So webinars have been many here, and we're in one. There's been online conferences, there's been courses. There are plenty of new ways of bonding and working together. That's where you're going to learn new things, but you're going to also meet new people. So what is interesting is that when you are, you know, it's like an event, when you have a shared experience, like, oh, we listened to Agathe, what did you think about this? What do you think about organizing your contact? I saw your name, I connected you with LinkedIn, you know, would love to chat and hear more your thoughts of what you were saying. So that's already, you know, a shared information that you can connect someone with. So learning and meeting new people is a great way to organizing your contacts. One of the steps I recommend is really looking at your weak ties, reaching out to your weak ties. The second is obviously finding a course or an organization to join and be part of. One of the person who's on the call, we had a conversation earlier this morning, and she is volunteering for an association delivering meals, which I did too. So we bonded on that and we connected over that. But that's where, you know, we were saying, you know, you meet very, very different people that you would have never had a chance to meet, especially in New York. And so that's a great way to extend into your circle. On one of my visits, I met this young guy who was a sneaker reseller, and he had all these sneakers, and it was his passion, and he was pretty good at it. He had quite a following, but it was interesting because for me it was, entering another world, and we exchanged, and understanding his world, and we had fashion ties, so that was a really fun part. But these are organization or course, sharing a course together, doing work together, and that is my third point, is the moment you do something together, that's how you strengthen ties and you build trust. So whenever there's something you can do together, that's when you can create this connection between two people and reinforce the trust. I'm looking at time, so we are good because I want to leave space for questions of any of you. So I'm going to do a plug. This is what we did. So what we did this spring was to create a method to refocus on your career. And what we did is we worked 3 hours every week for 3 months. We had a group of, in the spring, 24 people. And they were all diverse in age, race, industries, and they all connected together. And what happened was absolutely magical. First, because there were some synchronicities that were, would blow your mind. There was one woman two women, one was in San Francisco and she's French. The other one is American. They have 10 years gap difference, and they ended up going to the same high school in Ohio. So, things like that make that there's an instant connection. And all of a sudden, that person can pick up the phone and be immediately, answering your call because you have something common shared. The first month we work on clarity, being clear on what you are, what you want. Believe it or not, that is the main pitfall of every interview I do. People can talk about their career, their experience, but they're not very clear at sharing what they want to do in the next role, how they're going to present themselves. So if you want to jumpstart on that, there is on my website a free course. There's a little red link, and you can click on that. There's 3 videos. These are 3 videos that you must see if you're going to an interview. It will give you the first steps on clarity, what your hard skills are, what your soft skills are, and how to share that with an HR, a recruiter, or anybody that you are hoping to make a contact for your work. The second month we did delivering elevator speech. And you would think that it's easy. It is not. That's the fear of talking, but the fear of talking too much, the fear of being, messy, of not knowing what to put and what to add. It was really, really powerful, especially because we had a theater instructor share with us some of the exercise. And finally, we put all that together in a visual template, which is essentially a resume in a visual form that is more personal, that were really brilliant and that people could share with each other. So there's a start date on September 21st. And that's what I want to conclude is the more diverse your network, the richer the opportunities you will receive. It's really, really important these days to cast a wider net to with whom you are conversing. So want to make sure I said everything, but if you have any question, let me know. I'm happy to answer any question, and I hope this was useful. The idea is really the concept is you are basically very porous to the people who surround you. We have, maybe you have your gym buddies, or you have your, girlfriends that you talk to, your mom friends of friends of your children. But this is very important, is finding people to talk about your career. Who are you discussing your career with? How much time are you spending? So I always say that the idea is people, spend, invest in their gym, right? They buy the Lululemon pants, they buy the trainer, they, the yoga mat and everything. In your health, you'll buy vitamins, you'll go to the doctor, you'll do that. And I don't know, if you want to go on a date, it's whatever, the makeup, the lipstick, the movie, whatever you do. You invest in plenty of areas of your life. I want to invite you to invest in your career. And it doesn't have to be financial. There's plenty of ways to join tons of group, but spend a little bit of time. You can see it works wonder for those who did with it. So I'm going to take the questions. Do you think it's helpful that I'm connected but not close to ask people that what they think are my core strengths, how they perceive me? That's a fantastic question. And I don't know if you're going to like the answer, but the answer is no, right? If these people are friends and very close friends, maybe you take two, but you don't ask everybody who you are. What I have is, please download the free courses. There are some tests on how you can know more about yourself, but also I give you a method on how to present yourself, how to understand what is your essence. It is very important to know that you cannot today crowd anybody else's brain with your back experience. It takes too much time from them and too much energy. So there's a quote by Michelle Obama that I love. She says, if you don't define yourself, you will be quickly and inaccurately defined by others. So join the course if you want, but that's what we do for a whole month. It's called the Clarity Month. We define, we learn to see how you want to be defined. And you have to be very, very brief about it, because people don't have, enough space in their brain to remember everything. I hope that answered the question. How do you network at work when colleagues are trying to block you from connecting with others? That's an interesting question, and an unfortunate situation. I'm sorry, Angela. What I would say is you can absolutely offer to connect with them on LinkedIn, offer to send them an interesting article, offer to send them a recommendation, if that is one way. I don't know why they would block you. I don't know if it's legal to do so, but you can send them a note also, or drop them something at their store if they have a location. If they have a location. I have another question. So one of the question is, how will somebody remember me? That's a question I get often. So I'm going to give you another trick. So when people connect with new people, there's a magic number of 3. You have to have a connection with them 3 times within 1 month, right? So the idea is, if you meet somebody at an event, you share your name. Hi, my name is Agathe. I'm a recruiter in the fashion industry. They will, the idea is within that week or within 4 or 5 days, you have to send them an email reminding them of that moment. So it's a memory trick. It's to make sure the circuits in the memory are triggered not once, not twice, but 3 times in the same month. And then immediately the name and the person will go into your long-term memory. So you meet them at an event or at a conference and you say, oh, hi, we listened to the same conference. My name is Agathe. I'm a recruiter. Within a week, you send them an email. It was lovely seeing you at the conference. Here's an article that I thought you'd be interested. Bye. And then within 3 weeks of that, you send them a little note again. Hi, was thinking of you. Hope all is well. These 3 exchanges will make sure that that person associates you in their long-term memory, and that's a great way to really seal a relationship and start building trust. The second question. Okay. Second question is how to start a conversation with a weak tie. So one thing I just shared is maybe sending an article. I've had quite interesting, comments of like, oh, here's an article I got. I know you're doing this, I thought of you, and here's an article that you can read. Another one is, one of the candidates I had, she was in jewelry, high-end jewelry, and she sent me a book, link to a book that she thought I would enjoy because it was about high-end jewelry that she was passionate about. She's like, this is the best book about high-end jewelry. I thought you would enjoy it. Here's a review that I liked. And it's she didn't give me a present, but it felt really a bit special to have that. I've also received a quote, which was really nice. A candidate that I worked with had sent me a quote, and she said, in these times, this is my new motto. I thought I wanted to share it and thought you would enjoy it. And one thing I saw on LinkedIn that I thought was brilliant is a gentleman who had put his Calendly and said that every day at 5 p.m. he would do a coffee break for half an hour. And he put the link with Calendly, where you can sign for people, and people could sign. So his friends, acquaintances, like, we haven't been in touch for a long time. I just wanted to see how you were doing. Here is a link. You can book a half hour with me, and every day at 5 I have a coffee and we can share half hour together of conversation. So I thought it was a really nice way to set up a form of appointment. More questions. This is great. How do you network? What is the best way to network and stay on the radar of people in other countries? Ooh, David, that's a good question. So I think, sharing, maybe if you've seen news about that country that, you think would be interesting. But now that I think of it, so I have one candidate who's in Italy, in Rome, and I just saw this new website with Italian fashion that was being promoted, and it was in the US. So I sent her the link and said, oh, here is how, Italy is seen in the US, and this is, what we see of Italy. Hope you're doing well. That's one way. But making an appointment, with them, maybe if they're in a different time zone, saying, oh, every morning at 10, I know it's your afternoon, would love to do that coffee break, and finding a little bit of time with them. Are there any innovative or new technologies in the fashion industry that are available for computer science students? Robotics, interpretation? Yes, Elise, there are plenty of new interesting things. I'll have to look a little bit into it, but I've actually connected with a startup in France that has, and they're developing here, the name escapes me right now, but basically they have developed artificial intelligence for Instagram. So they will tell a brand, like say Dior, they will say, we're gonna scan all of Instagram and see your bag. We can find your model in your bag and see who are the influencers that are wearing it, and see, the rate of growth and everything. So let me do a little bit of work and on my screen, and I will email you. I want to ask you, if I'm not connected with you on LinkedIn, please DM me, please send me a connection, and you can send me a question over there. Okay, so DM me, Alize. I will write down your name, but in case I forget, I will find that there. What method would you recommend to reconnect with a contact that you haven't spoken to recently and aren't sure what they have done in the gap? Send email, text, etc. If you have a phone number, I think a text is really nice, just because mails are really flooded. But sending an email, I sent actually emails to 3 people yesterday that I hadn't connected for a long time, and I wanted to hear how they are. And I just sent a very, blunt email like, hey, I was wondering how you're doing. Are you going back to your office, your physical office? Just wanted to touch base. It's been, I think I said, it's already September. We haven't spoken in so long. So it's leaving it an open-end question is a good trick. Oh, I'm going to give you another trick that so I've been doing this masterclass online, and it was the art of negotiation. It's a gentleman who negotiates with terrorists and bank robbers and everything. So he shares news on the art of negotiation. And he says that a no is usually better than a yes, because when you ask for something, it can be a yes, but it can be a yes, but I don't really have the time. Yes, I'd love to talk to her, but he says, but people love to say no. So if you can turn your sentence into a no, usually, people will respond more quickly. And so I use this with one of my clients. We are having a search right now, and they've been MIA. They haven't answered in 2 weeks. So I've been sending an email and and they have no answers. So I sent a text, or actually it was in WhatsApp, and I said, hello, would you be against, I'll tell you, because it was would you be against scheduling a quick call together this week? And his answer was immediate. He said, never against that, Agathe. And so he told me yes, but he, was really quick to answer no. So I don't think it's Lee Mealer. I'm going to find the name, Angela, but I'll try to post something on LinkedIn, because it was really, he works with terrorism organization. Here, I love all these questions. So thank you for all your questions. I'm looking on the other side. Yes, so to go back to your question, how much is the course? So Andrea, all the information is on the linked on career, surmesurecareer.com, career course. The price is $1,200 for 3 months. So each month it's basically $400 a month. So basically $100 a week for 3 hours of full-time work on your career with me. The course is 3 things. It's first a weekly live video, like we're doing basically, where I share all the information. I give you a list of exercise to do. You have usually an hour of work that week. And we do every other week a Q&A to answer any questions that you're uncertain. What are my soft skills? I thought I was this. How do I share this information? And 1 hour is, it's actually more, it's an hour and a half, but we make sure that everything is said in an hour for those people who don't have extra time. And that is with groups. So we do smaller groups between 8 and 12 people, and that becomes your really tight group of connection. And it is incredible. We had people starting from, maybe the youngest was 28, 29 to in mid 50s. We had people in San Francisco, Canada, New York. Everybody was from, a lot of people were in arts, retail, fashion, of course. We had tech, events, and all of this, wellness also, and all these people connected, and they helped each other more than I could even help them, and it multiplied the effect. There was accountability that was done, because that's very important. It is being accountable, and not being accountable in the bad way, like if you don't do that, you'll be punished. That's not that way. It's more, how can I help you achieve your goals? So that accountability. Call me if you need, that booster call in the morning. And one of the person had to finish their template, and it was, they were, how do you say, procrastinating the whole thing. And so what happened is that she asked one person every day to call her. So on Monday was Sophie, on Tuesday was Jonathan, on Thursday it was, and she got through the week, and everybody's like, hey, are you doing your part? And that's how accountability was done. So it was amazing. And one of the groups that were all designers, we had a whole group of designers, they gelled so well together that they created together a collective of designers. So I'm super proud of them. They even launched their first zine today, this morning, because it was full moon. They all send it every full moon. They're sending a zine, and they created a website, and they're pitching together their skills, because basically they want to be freelance, and they all want to work, but one is going to be in Australia, one is in Italy, the others are in New York. And so the idea was to pull resources so that they could share new work. There's more question. Fantastic. Oh no, this one I answered. So I hope I answered all the information you wanted. The idea is really, what I want you to remember, if there's a few things I want you to remember, is really get a small group of people that you can discuss your career. We are living in extraordinary times where there is so many changes happening. But I want you to think that there's a lot of good things happening. 3 of my candidates from the group previous who were in retail found new jobs. Head of retail for the US, one is, as I said, going to an interview today. The other one is in conversation. There are things happening. And that is because they started reconnecting with colleagues and people in their network, but also because they had done the clear work. So I know it's not fun. I make it fun. I hope I make it fun because, I love it. I love seeing people talk about their career. I don't know. I find it fascinating. For me, it's like reading stories, finding, the talent in one person. When I see a resume, I'm like, okay, there's all this thing. And I really try to find the 2-3 things that make this person unique. And that's where you can do the work. So download the Clarity, website videos. They're free. It's 3 short videos. Already you can do a lot of exercise. Alexandra, you'll see there's a great exercise on online for free that helps you understand what are your soft skills. I give the STAR exercise to explain how to explain to people your accomplishments, right? STAR stands for situation. That's it, I'm blanking. Okay, well, you'll see it all in there. But this is what you have to do right now, and take advantage of the time we're living right now to be crystal clear on what you can offer. You want to share that message, and you want to be on point, right? Because people have too much on their head right now to think. So the more easy you make it for them. What you have to understand is recruiters, HR, even the person, your colleague that you're talking to, is basically going to become an ambassador. So they're going to hear your story, and then if that story is compelling, they're going to turn around and share your story to somebody else. So what is important is that they understand it clearly and say it easily, so they can share that story and amplify your message. So make it very easy to share. Voila, I'm not seeing any more questions. Again, as I said, please find me on LinkedIn if there's anything that you want to ask. Some questions are better answered, in private messages, and that's good. I usually have a Calendly. You can take half an hour of time, but I urge you to do the mini course, get excited about career because things are shifting drastically and you want to be in the front line of the next, of your next work. So if you have a job, you are also doing this work because things are shifting very, very fast. I'm passionate about the future of work and things are moving very fast. So you have to be ahead of your game. You can no longer rely on your company to help you grow or on HR to tell you to put you on the fast track. You are now in charge of your career. So the good news is there's plenty of things to do. And the even better news is not a lot of people are doing it. So just by doing a little, you can be really ahead of the game. So, so that's it. Thank you, Xavier. Thank you, Alexandra. I'm very excited. I'm doing another one, I think September 9th. It's going to be a Q&A about the course. But I'll share more and really what I found in the course. The two things is that you get information, get clear on who you are, what you do, how you do it, why you do it, right? And then the other part that is the magical part is networking, sharing that with other people. And if you can be in a safe environment where you can say, talk about your career without, talk about it and discuss opportunities, share about your challenges, saying, I've been this, but I haven't had any recommendation lately. How do I get my first recommendation, etc. This is very, very important. Thank you, Angela. I hope this was useful. And I look forward to seeing you soon online or on LinkedIn or in the course. I'm seeing stars, exactly. Thank you, Melissa. The star, situation, task, action, result. Thank you very much, Melissa. I love that exercise. I think it's one of the best things for interviews. And if you have a few accomplishments, I always suggest to use the STAR exercise to talk about 1 or 2 accomplishments. I tell you, the art of interviewing is really important. Nobody takes time to learn to interview. If you do so, you are ahead of the game. One of my best friends is a head of HR of a company in France, and he actually took a course on interviewing. He's head of HR of a group of, 6,000 people. He's been doing interviews all his life. And he said, I was so bad at interviewing that it was a shock for me because I thought I was a really good interviewer. So it happens to everyone. It's very normal. So if you can do one thing, spend a bit of time on your career. It's for your future. Okay. What is one virtual interview tip that you think would make one stand out in a good way? Okay. Virtual tip. Yes, I'll tell you something. I find that candidates who are sitting upright have a lot more energy. Actually, 2 things. Some people actually interview standing up, and the upright energy is very, very visually pleasing. So if people are leaning in their chair, you see I'm standing upright because I'm on a stool, but if people are leaning on their chair, they very quickly can look a bit like slumpy. And so if you are sitting upright or on a stool or sitting, that gives a very strong energy. So that's my virtual tip of the day. I hope that answered. And fantastic, Lori. Thank you for this. And thank you, Kim. And Angela, I'll see you on LinkedIn. Fantastic. Paul, thank you. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate. As I said, I'm passionate about work. This is the time. I don't have the searches. That's why I'm sharing this time to make sure that you all get out there and be visible. Don't stay small and thinking that because of the pandemic, nothing is happening, that you don't want to connect with people. It's actually a time where you can work on yourself, you can share articles, you can be a bit more transparent with people and show more soft sides or more vulnerable sides of yourself. And thank you, Marie. I'm happy it was helpful for you. So thank you. And I look forward to seeing you next week. September 9th, you can sign up. I think Charlotte sent the link. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.